sahabat cintaku.
Oke. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Cek suara dulu. Udah oke?
Udah.
Udah sip.
Suara aku
Mantap.
masuk juga nggak, Bulin?
Masuk jelas banget.
Alhamdulillah.
Iya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ayah bunda yang dirahmati Allah, mari kita bersyukur atas nikmat dan karunia yang Allah berikan, sehingga kita bisa hadir di acara bincang buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah dalam keadaan sehat dan penuh semangat. Salawat serta salam tak lupa kita panjatkan untuk Nabi Muhammad SAW. Semoga kita semua mendapatkan syafaatnya di hari akhir nanti. Perkenalkan, aku Lintang dari Yaumi Kids, lagi-lagi Lintang, L3. Ingin mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada ayah bunda yang sudah hadir di sini, ya walaupun online, semoga tidak mengurangi esensi dari acara kita sore ini. Gitu. Sebelum masuk ke bincang bukunya, mari kita sama-sama mendengarkan lantunan ayat suci Al-Quran surat Al-Fajr ayat 22 sampai 30.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية ادخلي في عبادي فادخلي في عبادي فادخلي في عبادي فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. اللهم اجعلنا اللهم اجعل بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Masih di mute, Bu.
Oke, maaf ya.
Canggung ya.
Ya, alhamdulillah ya sudah sama-sama kita dengarkan lantunan ayat suci Al-Qur'an surat Al-Fajr ayat 22 sampai 30. Jadi mari kita lanjutkan ke acara berikutnya ya, yaitu bincang buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah bersama penulisnya langsung dari UK, Syabana Hussein, dengan moderator dan penerjemah Teh Tifa Haifa. Oke. Mau langsung? Oh, aku bacain ini dulu ya. Oke. Nah, kita kenalan dulu dengan narasumbernya dan moderator. Tentang penulisnya yaitu Syabana Hussein adalah seorang guru dari Lancashire yang sangat tertarik dengan buku cerita bergambar. Ia percaya bahwa buku cerita bergambar adalah alat yang paling efektif untuk mengajari anak-anak tentang hal yang penting ketika ia tidak sedang menulis buku anak. Anda akan menemukannya sedang bersama keluarga, menggambar, atau bernyanyi dan bermain daf. Kemudian tentang penerjemahnya nih, Teh Tifa Haifa. Dengan nama lengkap Latifah Habibah Haifa adalah penulis sekaligus co-founder dari Yaumi Media Group. Passionnya di bidang literasi, mendorongnya mengambil sertifikasi Read Aloud Trainer dan penulis picture book, buku anak di London. Dua anak laki-lakinya menjadi inspirasi utama karya tulisannya. Beberapa karya bestsellernya antara lain Growing Muslim Series, Kereta Imanku, Puzzle Masjid Istimewa. Ya.
Oke, Masya Allah, sudah rame banget, sudah 1.000 orang.
Waduh, luar biasa.
Waduh,
1.000
over capacity
orang.
nih.
Luar biasa.
Masya Allah.
Ya.
Iya. Kita sambil nunggu penulisnya dulu untuk hadir. Tadi sudah dicolek, terus katanya few minutes. Oke, kita sambil nunggu sebentar ya.
Iya,
Siapa yang
boleh.
udah tahu tentang buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah sebelum diterjemahkan? Siapa yang tahu versi bahasa Inggrisnya? Ada yang sudah tahu? Ini bahasa Indonesia sih aku tahu. Ada yang saya tahu,
Ayo,
boleh di
udah ada.
kolom chat. Ada yang tahu,
Ada yang tahu, ada yang belum.
Masya Allah.
Ternyata sudah banyak yang tahu juga ya. Ada juga yang belum tahu.
Jangan kemarin pas lagi rame-ramenya PO ada yang ikutan gitu ya. Ada
Iya.
versi aslinya.
Ada yang udah nggak sabar banget tuh.
Iya. Aku pun tidak sabar ya. Alhamdulillah hari ini kita bisa menghadirkan penulisnya langsung, walaupun nanti nggak apa-apa ya, nanti Sister Sabananya nggak menampilkan wajahnya, cukup nanti kita dengarkan suaranya juga, insya Allah akan dapat banyak insight dari situ.
Nah ini Kak Sabananya kayaknya sudah hadir.
Ya.
Iya.
Bisa jadi co-host?
Oh iya. Kayaknya udah.
Dan di spotlight juga mungkin ya. Assalamualaikum, Sister Sabana.
Waalaikumsalam. So happy to be here.
Oh, Masya Allah. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, I can.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Just a little bit busy, so I was doing something else. I was trying to log on at the same time. If anyone's read my bio, I'm a teacher as well. And although I've reduced my hours, I don't do as much in the classroom, but I also do prepare children for their exams. So I'm a little bit busy with exam season.
Teman-teman, Sister Sabana. I will try to translate what you said to our audience. So it will be in two languages, in Indonesia languages and
yes,
English. Are you okay with that?
I do talk quite fast, so I will try not to do that too much, so it's easier for you to translate.
Okay, but please talk slowly. It's fine. Okay, so I can get you. Masya Allah, jadi Sister Sabana ini mengajar juga, jadi lagi rapot ya, alhamdulillah. Gitu. Oh ya teman-teman, maaf aku tidak pakai virtual background-nya ya, karena mukaku akan jadi glowing banget kalau pakai virtual background. So, Sister Sabana, can we just start our talk show or interview this morning? It's 10 a.m. UK time, right?
Yeah, it is the morning. So I've already been up for a few hours, so that's okay.
Okay. First question I want to ask you, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so Assalamualaikum. My name is Shabana Hussain. I am a teacher and also a children's picture book author. In the UK, we have primary and secondary schools and then college and university. So I teach secondary school students, so they are aged 11 till 16. And then my subject that I teach is English. And I also prepare the students for their end of high school exams as well. And the writer side of me has only started recently. I started writing in 2020. And Alhamdulillah, my debut book, Speak Up Sami, and Hamza Attends Janaza were both published towards the end of 2022.
Okay, sorry, I'm on mute. I don't know. Okay, jadi Sister Sabana ini ngajar di secondary school ya, di SMP kalau di kita, di usia 11 sampai 15 tahun, Masya Allah. Wow, dan buku Hamzah ini juga buku baru yang baru terbit di awal tahun 2023 ini dari Cube Publishing. Okay, Sister Sabana, I want to know how you feel that your book is translated into Indonesian language, and what is your hope for the Indonesian readers? And maybe you already have testimonials and good responses for English version.
Yeah, so Hamza Attends Janaza is a really special for me because Outlander and Alhamdulillah Q Publishing managed to do that for me because I wanted it out in autumn because it's got an autumn theme. And straight away the response was amazing. When I did the cover reveal, that was really special. And one of the first reviews that came in was from a judge on the Muslim Bookstagram Award. So she's one of 4 in America, and I was a bit worried about what they may think, but her review was absolutely amazing. She normally gets a few hundred people liking each of her book reviews, but when she did the Hamza review, about over 3,000 people liked it, which was, I was just blown away. It was amazing, mashallah. So that's the Islamic School Librarian. Amazing reviews of books that feature names, the books that are written by Muslims. So it was really, really special to get a review like that very early on. And it was only, I think, last month that Cube Publishing mentioned to me that it's going to be translated into Indonesian language. And I was absolutely over the moon, because my dua has been for Hamza to reach as many families as it possibly can, because if I never wrote a book after Hamza, I would still be a very, very happy woman to have put that out into the world, because that was the main thing that I really wanted out in the world. But alhamdulillah, my ideas are not stopping, and I think Allah has a bit more in store for me, inshallah.
Mashallah, very nice to hear that. Okay, jadi Hamzah melayat jenazah atau Hamzah di jenazah di bahasa Inggrisnya ini sangat spesial untuk penulisnya, dan alhamdulillah Q Publishing mau menerbitkan buku ini. Nah, buku ini juga pernah di-review sama Muslim Bookstagram Awards yang base-nya di US. Nah, itu dari situ ada 3.000 orang ternyata yang bukunya, dan itu sangat berkesan. Buku ini juga diharapkan penulisnya bisa mencapai ke banyak orang, bisa diterima oleh lebih banyak orang. Jadi begitu buku ini diterjemahkan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia, penulisnya merasa sangat bahagia karena doanya dikabulkan gitu untuk meraih reach banyak orang yang bisa dapat manfaat dari buku ini, insya Allah. That's a very amazing story, ya. Wow, amazing. And next question from me before we open the Q&A session with the public. Maybe you should spend with me a little bit longer. I have a few more questions for you.
That's fine.
Okay, how long it takes to write Hamza attends a janazah?
Well, I started writing in 2020, and some people may have heard of a writing coach. She's an award-winning author herself. Her name is Naima B. Roberts, and I did one of her courses. So it was a 6-week course, and I wrote a few stories in that time. So and each story was going to go to the editor to be edited at least twice in that period. So I needed to get the story out quickly so that it could go
So, buku ini ternyata sudah ditulis cukup lama, prosesnya dari tahun 2022, dan sudah balik masuk tahap kan yang bagus dan enak dibaca oleh audiens, oleh pembaca. Nah, okay. I will continue to our next question.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay. You have mentioned before to us behind this event, before this event, that this book is scholars approved. Can you tell our audience about what it means? It's scholar approved and how is it?
Yeah, so because even though this is not deep fiqh, the fact that Islamic practices are being mentioned in the book, I wanted to make sure that everything was accurate. So I needed a sheikh, a scholar, to approve it. And I just thought, well, I'm a nobody. How will I get a sheikh to, how will I get in contact with a sheikh? So I prayed the Hajjud, and I really asked Allah to kind of put the right people in my path to make it happen. And the next day, a sheikh's name popped in my head. And this sheikh, I had attended one of his lectures about 6-7 years before that about parenting. And I just thought, oh, he would be excellent for checking the book because he also works in a school. I thought he'd understand, where I was coming from. So I managed to find the contact number. I rang the school, and they said he doesn't really work there as much anymore, and maybe only does 1 day a week. And I was just really disappointed because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to manage to get a hold of him. I don't know which day he works. So I left the message and I let it be. 1 hour later, he called me. He called me and he listened, and he said he would be happy to fact check the book. And I was in tears because I just thought what they say about the Hajjud duas never miss their target is very true. And alhamdulillah, I was so blessed to have that support. So even things like the illustrations, the text, all of that was checked by the sheikh. And in addition to that, there were other people who also checked it. He also referred to people that he wanted to check it with as well. So it gave me a lot of confidence that what I was putting out into Tamil will accept it and will understand that what it is. There are obviously slight differences because I'm writing it from a Western perspective. In the world, I think in Indonesia or Malaysia, some other people might have picked up and they mentioned something to do with the coffin and why the coffin was being into the ground. And I said, what happens? That was something that the scholar, approved, and that was fine. So I follow Hanafi madhab, and those are the scholars and sheikhs that I obviously interacted with. There's another sheikh as well. Probably also approved it and said there was absolutely nothing wrong with the story whatsoever. He said it's a neat story, it's a lovely story, and he is somebody who has got ijazah from many other scholars. So he's he's also I think a psychologist. And he's very, very learned, a very respected sheikh as well. Some sheikhs just don't want their name in the books, so that's why I never mentioned the specific name. But it has been checked, and I'm very confident, and I hope, inshallah, that comes across in the text as well.
MashaAllah. It's very nice. It's very great to know that Hamzat attends a janazah have been approved by Sheikh. Okay. And also, it's interesting to talk about the coffin approved by the sheikh on the book, as we have a very different culture in Indonesia and UK. So for this book, we have a little changes for the coffin. We changed into.
It looks beautiful. I really love it.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And I think it makes it even more emotional because the front cover, when my dad looked at it, my dad just always smiling about it. He says it's so beautiful, and it really makes you think because it brings all the emotion to it. And I think with the cover, with the kalama on it, it's even more emotional, I think, when you look at it. And it's a learning point because you can talk about the cover and the lesson that it gives you before you even read the story.
MashaAllah. We're really happy that you glad and satisfied about the cover results. Oke, nah, jadi teman-teman, buku ini sudah di-approve oleh Syekh yang ada di UK, oleh 2 orang Syekh, lebih tepatnya. Jadi, untuk nggak cuma secara konten yang direview oleh Syekh tersebut, tapi juga secara ilustrasi juga dicek gimana sih, apakah sudah proper atau tidak. Jadi di sini tuh emang ada perbedaan di kerandanya. Jadi versi aslinya itu coffin atau peti mati, dia bentuknya kayu gitu. Tapi kalau untuk versi Indonesianya kita ganti jadi keranda. Nah, karena memang kalau untuk di UK jenazahnya itu memang dimasukkan bersama dengan peti matinya, dan itu menurut ulama sana, Syekh sana itu gak apa-apa kayak gitu, udah Syekh approve di situ dah. Begitu. Cuman memang untuk di Indonesia kita buat beberapa penyesuaian. Jadi insya Allah secara konten dan secara ilustrasi sudah sesuai dengan kaidah-kaidah dalam Islam. Oke. We already have some questions on the chat box. Maybe I will...
Happy to answer all questions.
Maybe I will read some questions for you. Now, wait a minute. I will choose. It's the first question is from Oksa. In Indonesia, it is taboo for young children to mourn the body. How to react based on the book, based on Hamza attends Janazah? Can you tell us how Hamza react on the funeral? Yeah, on the Uncle Samir funeral, like that.
Yeah, I think with the topic, because the topic is actually taboo, I think across cultures, across religions,
yeah,
everybody kind of avoids this topic. And one of the reasons I think people avoid it, adults, because it's awkward. It's people don't like to talk about sad things usually, and in addition to that, the adults feel that the children won't understand, or the children will get scared. And this is a common thing, I think parents think that, oh, they're too young, they won't understand. But I think we underestimate children. They do understand, but you've just got to make sure that it's age appropriate. So if the child is only 3, you're not going to start talking about Barzakh, and what's happening inside the grave. That's too much. And it just depends on the child as well. Some children are more sensitive than other children. But I think I really, really feel strongly about introducing the topic early on with children, because the more you talk about it, the more they get used to it and comfortable, and it won't be a shock. There are families who, when they are hit with the sadness of a loved one passing away, then they go into shock. The adults are in a bit of chaos. They're trying to sort things out in the house, the family, the guests, all these things are happening, and no one's got time to think about the children. But the children are also going through things, but no one's giving them the time, or they don't have the time to talk about it, because janazas are quick in, obviously, Islamic communities. So I think they're left to the side, and they're left to just deal with it on their own. And I think that's wrong. And yes, the adults are busy, but if we had already done some talking, already prepared, then hopefully they won't. Obviously, it's a sad time. Everyone's going to be affected in different ways, children, adults, but some preparation is really important. And that's why I started talking to my son about it very early on. And I think we shouldn't shy away from talking about it with our children just because we're scared or we're uncomfortable. We need to teach them these things. because we don't know when tragedy might hit. So we don't know when someone might get ill. And I think we prepare for exams. We want our children to do really, really well. We do that in advance. We spend a lot of time. People do tutoring, people hire, do extra classes. We prepare for parties. How much do we plan for parties? We plan for weddings in advance, a year in advance sometimes. But when it comes to janazah, when it comes to talking about death, we do nothing. And we are leaving our children open to shock. We are leaving them open to really struggling with the trauma when it happens. And I think we need to discuss it so they have the necessary tools to talk about it, to navigate this very difficult area with a little bit more ease, inshallah.
Okay, mashallah. So yeah, sometimes the adults who is more scared to talk about death, funeral to our younger children. I don't understand. Even my 4 years old already understand about what is that? That's very much sad. Why is it some kind of questions? Jadi di Indonesia, pertanyaan dari Mbak Oksa tadi, di Indonesia itu tabu untuk anak-anak berduka gitu, untuk diceritakan tentang kematian gitu. Nah, jadi gimana sih buku Hamzah ini dibuat? Nah, buku Hamzah ini dibuat lebih child appropriate, jadi insya Allah cocok untuk anak-anak itu, dibuat dari sudut pandang anak. Jadi dengan tema kematian itu, dengan tema yang kita anggap tabu itu, semakin sering kita diskusikan dengan anak, semakin sering kita ngobrol tentang anak tentang itu, anak akan jadi lebih terbiasa. Oh iya, ternyata ada yang namanya kematian, ada yang kehidupan setelah kematian. Kalau ada orang meninggal harus seperti apa, kayak gitu, dibanding nanti ketika dia tiba-tiba menghadapi sesuatu yang mengejutkan gitu, buat tiba-tiba ada orang tersayangnya meninggal kayak gimana. Dan pemakaman itu kan cepat di Islamnya, langsung sat dimakamkan. Itu juga anak mungkin di saat itu kita juga nggak punya waktu gitu untuk menjelaskan ke anak, mengkondisikan anak. Tapi memang karena kematian itu sesuatu yang pasti terjadi dan harus kita persiapkan, maka lebih baik untuk dipersiapkan dari sekarang, didiskusikan, dipersiapkan seperti itu. Okay, I will continue with my question. After that, we have a slide for Q&A session. So jadi teman-teman untuk yang mau bertanya langsung ke link slide aja ya. Jadi nanti akan kita tampilkan dari slide untuk pertanyaan. But now for the next questions, I saw some questions and activity list on the book. What do you expect by making those lists? It's very interesting that you make some question and activity list for accompany the parents reading this book for their children. What's your goals for making that list?
Yeah, so the back matter, which includes the questions, obviously I had my teacher hat on when I was thinking about this, because I really wanted it to be a learning resource for parents, for the children, for maybe madrasa teachers, something that they can use when the story finishes. It's not just the end, because it's such a heavy topic. I didn't want to leave the adults just like that. I wanted to give them something extra. So there's a glossary, because sometimes if you've never spoken to your children about this, there are going to be some new words. Maybe sometimes some of the adults might not be aware of as well. So it is helpful for the adults, I think, but mostly obviously the children. It's also helpful for non-Muslims who may be picking up the book and just want to see what Islam, thinks about funerals, and what do they do. So maybe teachers in a school who are teaching religious studies, they may want to pick up a book about Islam, and they might want to know about this, and they may want to discuss it with their students. So the glossary is there. Then there's also questions which are linked to the story. So the first thing is a glossary, the second thing is the questions, and that is specifically about the story, about why Hamza perhaps is doing this and what's going on. And then the third section is also to do with follow-on activities. So if you have got children in your family, you might have a 3-year-old, you might have a 5-year-old, you might have an 8, 9-year-old. The activities are for all of them. So one of the activities in there is sweet shop with all, and that's because Uncle Samir in the story owns a sweet shop. And that's something for the little ones as a follow-on activity. But something for the older ones could be something like do a good deeds jar, or right at the end, one of the last tasks is research how to pray Salatul Janazah, and then report back to your family. You can present to your family what you've learned. So this is something for slightly older children. So there's something there for everybody. And in addition to that, I've included some hadith and some du'as. So when Hamza goes into the graveyard with his dad, it would have been too long to put the whole dua in, but he hears his dad say salam. And we know that when we go into the graveyard, we should be saying salam. And we know that those in the grave say salam back. It's just that we can't hear them. So the dua is at the back. There's also hadith referencing the reward for attending janazah. And I think sometimes because we don't talk about it enough, people forget that actually you do get a reward. You get a reward of 1 Mount Uhud for attending a janazah, and you get the reward of 2 Uhuds if you follow the procession all the way to the graveyard. And one of the reasons why I chose Hamza to go with his mom first and then his dad second, so he can get to the graveyard, because I wanted to show that that the women are allowed to pray the janazah prayer, and in many cultures the women are left out, and sometimes they're not even there. And for me, that's really, like, I would be absolutely gutted if I could not pray the janazah for my dad, for my mom. Like, how can it be that we as women are cut off from that reward? And the reward isn't just for men, but in a lot of cultures, the women are kind of put to the side and only the men do the janazah. And I think that's really difficult, because for the adults as well, they don't get that closure. You know, there's closure in Islam in lots of different ways. One is praying the janazah, one is seeing the face, one is doing the ghusl, being part of the ghusl, the procession, then the graveyard. So there's lots of different points. I think it's really, really difficult to get over. And I put them in the mosque so that Hamza could see that bit. So he's with his mom, and children like to be with their mom, you know, sometimes, and then he wants to go to his dad, and that happens in the story. And I just wanted it to be a discussion point so that people start to talk about it. Why don't we go? Why don't we get involved? You know, the reward is for women as well. And obviously we know that there are reasons for not going to the graveyard in Hanafi Madhab as well, like maybe on the day, maybe because it's just too raw, it's too emotional for the women at that point. But it doesn't mean we can't visit and pay our respects and make dua later on. But at least we should be involved, I think, in the first part. And it's a communal obligation. You know, as Muslims, it's a right upon another Muslim that we attend the janazah. And I think we need to discuss that more as well.
Okay, mashallah. It's so many points. Sorry. I guess so many points. So I think I have to explain it a little bit longer to the audience. Okay, jadi teman-teman, aku tanya. Nah, jadi di sini ada poin diskusi sama rekomendasi aktivitas untuk orang tua dan anaknya. Nah, di sini, jadi aku tanya kenapa sih dibikin poin pertanyaan dan aktivitas ini. Jadi di sini sebenarnya ada beberapa poin, ada banyak poin yang dikasih sama penulisnya, sama Sister Razana. Nah, jadi penulis nggak mau ya udah gitu aja gitu habis baca cerita, tapi pengennya ada poin-poin yang bisa dilakukan orang di pengajar. Jadi pengennya dapat ilmu ekstra bisa dieksplor dari buku ini. Jadi mulai dari depan ini ada hadis tentang yang beri manfaat bagi orang meninggal, terus bagaimana pahala melayat jenazah yang kita menyolatkan jenazah itu dapat pahala 1 qirat atau 1 bukit Uhud. Kalau 2 qirat itu sebesar 2 bukit Uhud ya di hadisnya. Ya. Nah, terus nanti di sini juga ada glosariumnya untuk Muslim dan non Muslim. Kata apa aja gitu di dalam buku ini, istilah-istilah Islam di situ. Nah, terus ada catatan orang tua, ada poin diskusinya juga, ada rekomendasi aktivitas. Jadi, anak-anak dan orang tua itu bisa berdiskusi ada apa aja sih yang Hamzah lakukan, apa sih yang bisa observasi di situ. Selama pemakaman, doa apa sih yang Hamzah panjatkan untuk Paman Samir. Terus rekomendasi aktivitas usia 4 tahun, 5 tahun, kita bisa bikin kotak sedekah atau bisa ngisi dengan permen kesukaan gitu, bikin toko permen Paman Samir. Dan untuk gimana sih melakukan proyek kebaikan gitu, mengumpulkan amal saleh untuk persiapan nanti setelah meninggal. Dan di sini juga ada doa-doanya lengkap. Jadi untuk dari Sister Sabana ini udah menulis ceritanya juga sama ekstraknya juga supaya orang tua dan anak bisa dapat insight lebih dari bukunya. Masya Allah. Okay, now we are going to read another Q&A from the audience. So, Brother Fahri, maybe you can help me to show the slides from slide. Okay, now we have the right slides for the Q&A. The first question is, when we can talk about death to our children, from which age is better? Is it from the early age or wait for them until the school age? What do you think about this question?
I think it just depends on each family's experience with death. So I chose to write about somebody who has passed away in the community because I wanted Hamza to be able to observe what was going on the day. If I had chosen somebody who passed away in his own family, it would have been too much deep grief, and he may not have really looked at what was going on because he would have been overcome with the sadness. So I deliberately chose a community uncle. However, if in your family somebody very, very close has passed away and your child is only 1 or 2, they may not really understand what's going on anyway. They may pick up on moods because generally we can pick up on atmosphere, even when you're young. But if they are 3, maybe you can say something simple like, so-and-so, the uncle or whoever has passed away has gone back to Allah. And that's one of the first things I said to my son. I said, we all go back. So what happened was my husband's friend had passed away. So we had gone to pay our respects and condolences. everybody was quiet. Obviously, it was a sad atmosphere. And I knew that my son had picked up on the atmosphere. So I spoke to him about it. And I said, it was sad, wasn't it? But one day we're all going to go back to Allah. We come from Allah, we're going to go back to Allah. And I think that is attended a janazah in her family, and one of her youngest children is 3 years old. And when she showed the book to her children, he was really excited because he could recognize things that had happened in the janazah. So he wanted to read it again. But then there's another friend whose daughter's 5 years old. And when she read the story, she got a little bit upset. But then not long after, they had a janazah in their family. And after that, she said she was a 5-year-old. She was telling the adults, don't cry. We'll meet him again in Jannah. So she's been reading the story and again, learning new things. And as a 5-year-old, she asked her mom, do young children die as well? Now, not every child's going to ask that question, but she did. And I don't think the mom was, she didn't know what to say. But I think if you know your child is sensitive, you could say something like, we don't know when we're all going to die. Allah can take us back whenever, because we belong to Allah. Allah can take us back whenever He decides. However, it's mostly older people who pass away. And I think if you know your child's sensitive, you can maybe give an answer like that. And just say if you're healthy and you don't have any illnesses, generally you will live for a good few years. Before Allah calls you back, and inshallah when He's pleased with this, inshallah.
Inshallah, this would really give a real benefit to children, from I heard. That's a very good feedback from your readers. Masya Allah. So, jadi mulai umur berapa sebaiknya kita membicarakan mengenai kematian pada anak? Apakah sedini mungkin atau menunggu sampai usia sekolah? Jadi jawaban dari Sister Sabana adalah tergantung dengan keluarganya masing-masing ingin memperkenalkannya kapan. Nah, untuk di buku cerita Hamzah Melayat Jenazah itu sendiri, orang yang meninggal adalah community uncle atau tetangganya yang meninggal. Jadi bukan orang yang terdekat. Kalau misalnya orang yang terdekat dengan Hamzah, kemungkinan bukunya itu akan lebih fokus pada griefnya, kepada kesedihannya. Tapi di sini kenapa tetangganya? Karena di situ si Hamzah ini jadi bisa mengobservasi, jadi bisa melihat, oh kalau ada yang meninggal itu ternyata ada yang sedih gitu, ada yang nangis, terus kalau misalnya ada yang meninggal kita harus berbuat apa gitu untuk menyolatkan, memakamkan, bahkan untuk berempati sama keluarga yang ditinggalkan. Nah, dari situ juga akan ada diskusi tentang kematian dan kehilangan gitu, tentang perjumpaan dengan Allah khususnya. Jadi kita berasal dari Allah dan akan kembali lagi kepada Allah gitu. Dan caranya memang kita harus melewati kematian itu. Bisa didiskusikan pelan-pelan, berarti nggak langsung begitu baca buku cerita ini langsung sekali beres gitu kita bahas tentang itu. Tapi akan ada masanya anak kan balik lagi bertanya itu seperti yang dicontohkan. Jadi ada yang membacakan buku Hamzah Jenazah ke anaknya, diskusi, habis itu tiba-tiba ada salah satu kenalan orang tuanya yang meninggal gitu, dan si anaknya itu jadi yang berempati gitu, empati duluan, jangan bersedih gitu, nanti kita akan ketemu lagi di jannah gitu, nanti akan bertemu lagi dengan orang yang itu di jannah gitu. Nah, empati ketika ada orang lain yang meninggal, ketika anak sudah dikasih dari awal. Nah, kemudian si anak itu juga beberapa lama kemudian balik lagi bertanya, apakah anak kecil juga akan meninggal gitu kan. Jadi emang ada anak yang bertanya seperti itu, dan ada juga yang mungkin nggak terlalu peka, nggak terlalu sensitif untuk bertanya kayak gitu. Nah, itu juga nanti akan balik lagi ke orang tuanya, gimana caranya kita bisa menjawab dengan tepat gitu tanpa mengikuti anak gitu. Kalau misalnya anak itu memang terlalu sensitif, bisa dijawab ya kita tidak tahu gitu kapan kita akan meninggal gitu, mau usia berapa, umur berapa, tapi yang jelas kita kita harus beramal mengumpulkan pahala untuk nanti kita insya Allah bisa ketemu lagi di jannah kayak gitu. Nanti diskusi-diskusi kecil seperti itu sebenarnya sangat penting dan jadi salah satu tujuan dari pembuatan buku ini. Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So I will move to the next question from this lady. The complete question from the second one is okay, there is a customer, maybe she already bought your book in English. So there is a customer who bought this book because his wife, the kid's mom is already passed away and always cried every time he miss his mom. So do you have tips for kids who have that trauma? Yeah.
I think when it's a young child who has experienced very close loss, they will be going through obviously a lot of emotions. In my family yet, I have not experienced that kind of loss. And also, but I do think if it's a small child, that we shouldn't, we shouldn't ignore it. We should let them talk about their feelings. We should let them know that it's not their fault that somebody has passed away. We should also not pretend. I think sometimes some adults will say, oh, they've just gone away. But if you use that kind of language, saying the adult whoever's passed away has gone away, they might think they're coming back, and they're not. So we need to be direct with our language, make it age appropriate, simple, but say things like I mentioned, that we come from Allah, and one day we're all going to go back to Him. And when it comes to young children, like, we shouldn't really lie or say anything like that just because we think it's going to fluff it up or to cover things up. We should be direct, because it'll confuse children. And if it confuses children, they may not trust you again about certain things because, you didn't tell the complete truth. If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know, but I can find out for you. When my son, when I told him the first time that we're going to go back to Allah, his main concern as a 3-year-old was, I don't want to leave this house. And our proper house is going to be Jannah, inshallah, and it's going to be much, much better. And a while later, he brought up we talked about it again. And the second time, he started talking about graves. And he said, can I be in the same grave with you? And I said to him, and I smiled at him and I said, that would be nice, but might be a bit squashy. We can be next to each other. And he smiled and kind of was happy with that answer. And the third time he was talking about the topic, it seemed like he was very comfortable with it. He started talking about in which order he thinks everyone was going to be passing away. So I said, right, okay. And I think I might have changed the topic then. But every child is different. I think you need to know your child and what they will be able to cope with. But I do think we need to be direct with our language and not cover things up and say things which are not true. We need to stick, deaths, the afterlife is part of our Aqidah, and we teach our children about Allah, we teach our children about Prophet ﷺ and other things about our deen. But when it comes to this part of our out, or we think we're going to cover things up, and say it in a way that's not quite true. And I don't think we should do that. We need to realize that children can accept information if we give it in the right way, wrote it in a very gentle way. There's a lady who's and Guffin workshop 30 years in her community. And when I gave her the book, she was really shocked initially just to see that there was a book on this topic, and she has said that it's written in a really, really sensitive way. So I think parents can be assured that it is a book that's going to help, inshallah. And they can read it first. I would recommend reading it first before you share it with your child if you are concerned with any of the parts of it, because I don't know your family situation. I don't know how, you may have lost somebody recently. So that's why adults are encouraged, the parents are encouraged to read it before they share it. And if they think it's the right time for their children to learn from it, then they can share it then.
Okay. Okay, mashallah, thank you for your answer. So, jadi ada pertanyaan, ada customer yang beli buku ini karena ibunya baru meninggal dan selalu menangis setiap kali rindu ibunya. Jadi apakah penulis punya tips dialog anak yang trauma pada kematian? Jadi cerita lengkapnya begini teman-teman, ada terpisah di chat box. Kebetulan istri saya wafat 1 bulan yang lalu dan saya memiliki putri yang berumur 2,5 tahun. Nah, kadang dia suka bertanya di mana ibu. Dengan fakir ilmu saya sampaikan bahwa ibu sudah di surga dan sekarang bersama Allah. Menurut buku Hamzah Melihat Jenazah, bagaimana sebaiknya menjelaskan hal tersebut? Terima kasih. Jazakallahu khairan. Nah, jadi yang paling tahu anak kita adalah kita sendiri, insya Allah, sebagai orang tuanya. Nah, untuk anak-anak yang kehilangan orang terdekatnya langsung, kita harus bisa mendampingi. Karena untuk orang yang kehilangan itu nggak bisa kita sekali 2 kali berdialog atau menenangkan terus mengalihkan dan itu masalahnya selesai. Tapi untuk anak-anak, khususnya untuk anak usia dini, kita harus bisa memvalidasi perasaannya kayak gitu. Kita dengarkan kesedihannya, keluhannya segala macam, kita berusaha berempati kepada dia gitu dan selalu mendengarkan, karena pasti berulang-ulang anak itu merasa rindu sama ibunya, merasa sedih ya gitu, dan ketika di momen-momen itu usahakan kita untuk selalu hadir gitu untuk memvalidasi perasaan dan emosinya kayak gitu. Apa lagi tadi? Jadi selain itu kita juga nggak boleh berbohong gitu, nggak boleh ibu lagi pergi gitu, karena nanti anak mikirnya nanti juga balik lagi kalau pergi gitu. Tapi memang dijelaskan kalau ibu itu sudah meninggal, sudah tidak ada bersama kita lagi, tapi nanti kita insya Allah akan bisa bertemu lagi di surga, di jannah kayak gitu. Dan itu dan jangan sampai kita sedikit pun berbohong gitu tentang masalah kematian ini, karena memang itu sesuatu yang nggak mungkin kita bisa ubah gitu. Nah, setelah kita bilang tentang faktanya seperti apa, kita juga bisa menceritakan anak tentang Allah itu siapa, Allah itu bagaimana, kayak gitu. Dekatkan anak dengan Allah, kuatkan tauhidnya, ceritakan tentang Rasulullah, bagaimana perjalanan hidupnya. Beliau kan seperti yang kita tahu dari kecil sudah yatim piatu, ya sudah banyak mengalami kehilangan juga. Nah, di situ kita kenalkan dengan tokoh-tokoh dalam Islam, dengan Rasul kita, dengan terutama dengan siapa itu Allah, siapa Tuhannya, dan kita yang berasal dari Allah dan pasti akan kembali pada Allah, dan seperti itu. Dan itu juga orang tuanya harus sabar karena memang ini adalah perjalanan yang panjang gitu untuk mendampingi anak, mengobati lukanya, mengobati rasa traumanya kayak gitu. Jadi semangat untuk ayah yang sedang mendampingi anaknya, membersamai anaknya untuk bertahan dari duka yang mendalam. Okay, next question. Maybe one of our audience want to open their mic to ask directly. I will give a chance for anyone who wants to raise their hand and ask the questions directly. Anyone? Let me see. Okay, Sister Liana Purba, you can open your mic and ask the questions directly to Sister
Ya.
Sabana.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya dalam bahasa Indonesia ya Mbak Tifa.
Oke, boleh.
Berbicara tentang kematian ya, jadi saya mau sedikit cerita. Saya ditinggalkan almarhum ayah itu sekitar usia 8 tahun. Dan di situ saya sudah mengerti apa itu kematian ya Mbak. Hanya saja memang ibu saya tidak menjelaskan tentang itu dan saya rasa juga di zaman saya untuk buku yang mengulas tentang kematian khususnya yang ditujukan ke anak-anak itu kan sangat sedikit gitu loh. Jadi saya belajar sendiri, kebetulan ayah saya mu'alaf, saya belajar sendiri, yang tadinya saya sekolah di negeri saya dipindahin ke madrasah, apa itu surga dan neraka. Nah, sekarang sebagai seorang ibu, memang anak saya masih 2 tahun, Mbak. Tapi saya punya keponakan itu usianya yang saya rasa masih kritis ya. Itu mereka sempat tanya gini, "Tante, surga udah meninggal?" Wah, saya bingung kan jawabnya itu gimana gitu. Maksudnya ada nggak ya tips dari penulis untuk buku ini bisa nggak sih membantu keresahan kita mungkin sebagai orang tua, katakanlah pendamping anak yang ya kita nggak tahu ya Mbak ya, kalau anak-anak itu kan memang dia unik ya, pertanyaannya itu unpredictable gitu, tiba-tiba dia bisa nanya ini itu gitu, termasuk tentang dosa dan pahala. Karena untuk anak saya juga nih ya yang 2 tahun, saya memang udah mengajarkan dia tentang aurat. Jadi ini anak kan udah mulai lancar bicara. Pernah satu ketika dia bilang gini, "Mak, ibu nggak pakai jilbab," katanya, "aurat, aurat." Sementara orang yang saya lihat itu kan saya juga nggak tahu ya, apakah dia muslim atau tidak gitu. Jadi kemarin juga ada dengar dari masjid kan biasa tuh ya Mbak di announce gitu. Dia bilang gini, "Shh, ada orang meninggal," gitu. Saya rasa kalau saya mulai mengajarkan tentang kematian, mungkin anak saya udah paham ya Mbak, karena saya memang clue-nya kalau misalnya ada announce dari masjid itu kalau innalillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, "Dek, dengar dulu ya siapa yang meninggal." Tapi dia kayak ngeliatin saya gitu, mungkin dia nggak paham ya apa itu meninggal, cuman untuk aba-aba saya bilang, "Diam dulu ya Dek," gitu, dia udah mengikuti gitu. Saya saya sih mau menjelaskan untuk tentang kematian, saya rasa mmm, mungkin bagian kulit-kulitnya aja ya Mbak, nggak sampai ke inti, karena saya lihat untuk pemahaman anak di usia 2 tahun kan tidak sedalam mereka yang sudah bersekolah, seperti itu. Dan itu pertanyaan saya yang pertama tadi Mbak, soal surga neraka, lalu pahala dan dosa. Terus Mbak gini Mbak, eee, jadi anak-anak itu kan kalau nonton horor ya, itu kalau di zaman saya itu dulu film Pocong Mumun gitu. Iya kan? Terus anak-anak ini mikirnya gini, orang yang meninggal itu pasti jadi hantu dan menakut-nakuti, seperti itu. Terus kenapa sih harus dipakaikan, kain kafan yang berwarna putih
putih, kenapa nggak pink, lebih seru tante gitu. Karena saya punya keponakan tuh ceriwis banget. Saya takut nantinya pertanyaan itu kembali diulang oleh anak saya pada saat dia memang sudah lancar berbicara, tapi saya nggak bisa explain itu semua gitu, Mbak Tifa. Itu aja sih. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Terima
wabarakatuh.
kasih pertanyaannya Mbak Liana. So this is such a long story, Sabana. So I will try to explain it to you. So Sister Liana have 2-year-old daughter and a cousin. So 4-year-old cousin. So her cousin is very tall, active, and ask her some kind of unique questions about that, like what is it, heaven and hell, and when she tried to answer the question about heaven and hell, then nephew asked again, are you already have experienced that? Something like that. It's something that out of the box that the children might ask us, and also about the good deeds and bad deeds, how we can explain to our kids in a decent way. So, and another question is, in Indonesia, there are some horror movies showing that that people, but everyone who's dead can turning into ghosts who scared people. So something like that. It's it's quite common in our horror movies. So our young children can have a misperception about that person will be a ghost who scare people. How we can make them stride, make them stride, and I mean, how we can guide them to have the right perception about the dead people. Can Hamza attend janazah, explain it to the younger children in a decent way, in the right way, in good way in Sharia?
Yeah, I think it can be hard if children have experienced horror films and ghosts, and obviously in Western world they talk about those kind of things and spirits and stuff like that, and especially if they don't believe in religion. Obviously we have heaven and hell. When I was younger and I attend madrasa, it was the talk about hell was more than talk about Jannah. You know, we never really spoke about going to Jannah. It was all about don't do this, otherwise you're going to go to hell. You know, and I think we need to, it's similar, we talk about Allah's, the fear of Allah with children sometimes more than we talk about the love of Allah. You know, Allah's Ar-Rahman, Allah's Ar-Rahim, and Allah's very forgiving. And I think those, and Allah's Al-Wadud, you know, we need to teach those names to our children first, make them have a very good connection with Allah. So going back to Allah isn't going to be an alien concept for them. We also need to, like, Barzakh is a really heavy area, and I did think about putting it in, but with a picture book is short, and in order for me to explore Barzakh, I would need more time in the story, and it would have become too long. And for that age range, this was the perfect size for the story and the text. So I did put the word Barzakh in, and then I took the word Barzakh out because it was just going to be too much, and I didn't want to just drop the word in without explanation, but it needed a reasonable amount of explanation, and I didn't have the space for that in the book. So, and I've also left that for the parents to really talk about. I mean, I wish, and I somebody else takes on a responsibility on book and for something, but that's fine for all the children. But the barzakh really does fascinate me. And I think if we mention that when we pass away and we are into the ground, we're in a rest, period until Allah wakes everybody up on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and that is mentioned in the book. Very simple, that once the body's been washed and the coffin's been put on and we've been put back into the ground, we're going to be waiting until Allah wakes us up again. And if, inshallah, we have done lots of good deeds, our time in barzakh is going to be pleasant, and that's why we collect lots of good deeds. And that's one of the messages in the book, that Hamza looks at the deeds and remembers the good deeds that the uncle has done, and he also wants to do good deeds himself. And his dad, he asks his dad, won't uncle be lonely in the ground? And his dad answers, no, because his good deeds will keep him company. And I think that kind of information is good for children to know. We don't have to go into hell. We don't have to go into teaching them about Allah's punishment. Yes, we know there should be an element of fear as well as an element of love connected to Allah. But as adults, we struggle sometimes to process that. So we shouldn't really burden our children with the fear of Allah before we introduce the love of Allah. So that is something that I think we need to focus on. But yes, telling them about what happens afterwards, just say afterwards, after we've passed away, we're not ghosts, we're resting. We're resting in our graves, and it's a nice time for us just to take a rest. Wait until other people join, people meet up in barzakh as well, so and you reunite there. But it's a resting period. It's a world that we don't get to see because it's invisible to us, but they're not ghosts. We don't haunt people. We just wait until Allah's ready to call us and wake us all up again. And I think if you say it like that, it's easier for children to process and deal with. And I think even just staying away from the hell part and ghosts is something that we need to do, because I think that will conflict them. They will have misconceptions. They will get confused. So just like we talk about, we believe in Allah, but Allah is invisible, we can't see Allah. We need to also talk about how when we die, we're in an invisible world. We can't see our loved ones, but they are there, and they are with other people who are also resting in that time until we be cold, we wake up again. Yeah. I hope that helps.
Inshallah. Very nice, very nice. It makes me believe that Hamza Adnan's Janazah book can help us to make the right perception about death in Islam.
Yeah, it's meant to open up conversation. And I think the more we talk about it, it might be new for us as adults well. But in order for us to, if we ignore it, it's not helping our children. It's not helping us. And things like the Dhul Hijjah now, so we can talk about what people wear on. They wear ihrams, they wear white. Why do we wear white? And our coffin is white as well. We've made that connection and talk about the ihram being a reminder for us. And I mentioned before the doctor whose ghusl and coffin workshop that I attended, and she said she was given a piece of advice that she's now sharing with us. And it was really have our reminder every day when we look at our wardrobe that actually that is our final outfit. That is what we're going to be wearing at the end of the day. And I just thought that was really, really deep, and it really made me think and reflect on that. Imagine if we all did that. We would have reminders about the fact that we're going to be dying. It's inevitable. And really, like but we should be doing it a lot more. You know, there's a hadith about remembering death often. Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that we should think about death often in a day. And we don't do that. But I think something like that would help us remember.
Mashallah. Thank you for your answer. I will try to translate your answer to our audience first. So, jadi teman-teman, menjelaskan dengan benar kepada anak-anak yang pertanyaannya kadang-kadang seringkali out of the box, dan di Indonesia memang ada banyak sekali film yang horor gitu yang kadang-kadang kita pun mungkin terlewat filternya. Jadi gimana sih caranya meluruskan itu? Apakah buku ini meluruskan persepsi anak tentang kematian sesuai dengan syariat Islam? Nah, jadi di sini yang pertama dekat kepada Allah, kenalkan anak dengan Allah, siapa penciptanya, siapa Robnya. Baik lagi kita berasal dari Allah dan akan kembali kepada Allah. Dan kita juga jelaskan kalau kematian itu kita di alam kubur itu adalah kita meninggal dan akhirnya kita dibangkitkan oleh Allah. Jadi di buku Hamzah Jenazah ini ada percakapan Hamzah dengan ayahnya, apakah Paman Samir kesepian gitu di dalam sana gitu, di dalam tanah gitu. Terus ayahnya bilang, oh tidak nak, karena amal baik Paman Samir akan menemaninya kayak gitu. Jadi di sini anak nanti kalau sudah di alam kubur sana yang menemani kita adalah baik kita, dan jadi kita harus mengumpulkan amal baik sebanyak-banyaknya untuk menemani kita di alam kubur, dan insya Allah jadi pemberat. Nah, anak-anak usia dini itu kita surga, bagaimana surga itu, amalan-amalan apa yang bisa memasukkan, bisa membuat Allah ridho gitu, kita masuk ke dalam surga, dibanding memperbanyak cerita tentang neraka gitu. Saya kadang mungkin orang tuh suka nakut-nakutin, jangan bandel nanti masuk neraka loh, Allah nggak suka loh karena ini gitu. Padahal kan dalilnya apa gitu ya, kalau misalnya anak numpahin air terus tiba-tiba Allah nggak suka terus bisa masuk neraka. Nah itu tuh mungkin dikurang-kurangin kayak gitu, lebih banyak bercerita tentang amal baik, gimana kita bisa masuk surga dan seperti itu. Nah, insya Allah buku ini juga ditujukan untuk membuka diskusi antara orang tua dan anak tentang apa itu kematian. Karena memang diskusi tentang apapun, khususnya tentang kematian ini, adalah proses yang panjang gitu, karena akan banyak lagi pertanyaan tentang anak, dari anak tentang surga neraka. Kayak anak aku mungkin bisa aku jadikan contoh, jadi pernah bertanya, Mama kalau di surga itu ada Indomaret nggak? Bisa, ada kalau misalnya adik mau, ada Indomaret. Kenapa emangnya ada mainannya nggak? Jadi ternyata dia tuh emang anaknya senang banget nongkrong di tempat mainan kalau diajak ke Indomaret. Jadi dia tanya, ada mainannya nggak? Ada, boleh beli mainan di surga. Ya nanti kalau misalnya masuk surga ada mainannya buat adik semua bisa gitu. Nanti Allah yang kasih gitu. Nah, dialog-dialognya gitu yang celetukan yang kadang-kadang kita nggak lagi bacain buku itu, tapi kadang-kadang anak suka menanyakan aja kayak gitu. Nah, kemudian ada bahasan juga tentang haji, kan kita udah mau masuk musim haji nih. Nah, di sana kita haji itu kan seperti simulasi kita ketika dibangkitkan ya, dikumpulkan orang di sebanyak itu di padang Arafah. Nah, semua orang pakai baju yang sama, warnanya sama. Kita juga bisa mulai bercerita pada anak dari sudut pandang itu gitu. Okay. Sister Sabana, are you still there?
Yeah. You're doing really well translating my long answers.
Mashallah. Okay, now is time is it 11 more than 11 UK time.
Yeah, it's just about 10 past 11.
And okay, are you have something else to do after this, or are you okay with one
Yeah,
more
I'm okay.
question? Thank you very much. Oke, satu lagi pertanyaan, kita dapat satu lagi pertanyaan sebelum nanti kita tutup sesi bersama Sabana dan lanjut ke sesi selanjutnya. Aku kasih kesempatan lagi yang mau open mic, boleh raise hand. Oke, ada Mbak Dwi Putri, silakan.
Ya, terima kasih kesempatannya Mbak Tifa. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Singkat saja karena waktunya sudah sore banget. Ini saya kayak penasaran dengan pemilihan kata jenazah, Mbak. Kan di situ Hamzah melayat jenazah. Nah, ada beberapa orang yang kayak sensitif mengenalkan kata jenazah, maksudnya mengobrolkan kata jenazah pada anak. Nah, kan kadang gini, loh, ini apa? Loh, kok jenazah, Bu? Ini kan Bu ini, atau ini kan paman ini yang meninggal, kok disebut jenazah. Nah, kenapa memilih kata jenazah? Kenapa nggak kayak cuma Hamzah melayat atau apa? Maksudnya saya cuma pengen tahu apa sih alasan memilih kata jenazah dan bagaimana kita menjelaskan itu nanti ke anak gitu loh. Sebenarnya jenazah, kenapa jadi berubah sebutan jadi jenazah ketika orang itu sudah meninggal atau bagaimana? Gitu sih Mbak, singkat aja. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih banyak, Madi. Okay, so for the last questions from Sister Wee, your book title is Hamzah Attends a Janazah. Why you choose the word janazah? Because some children may ask, why that people is becomes a janazah? Why they called janazah, not called by their name anymore? What is it? How do we explain to our children about?
Yeah, well, thank you for your question, and I love the background. Thank you for being a good Hamzah Janazah fan. I'm not very good with technology, so I can't put anything behind me. So the title, initially, I couldn't think of a title. I just knew it was going to be something sad, so I just called it A Sad Day. So you're getting some behind the scenes information here. It was called A Sad Day. And then I thought, well, it doesn't really tell me enough about what the book is going to be about. So I wanted the title to be a little bit more to the point. So it was Hamzah Attends a Janazah, like you would with a non-fiction book, which is very direct. So it is a non-fiction topic, but obviously written in a fiction way. In a story format. The word janazah, I think, is really important to introduce to our children. The vocabulary is important because a friend who recently had lost an uncle, her son, who was about 11 years old or 12, he attended the janazah, he did that, but he called it Juma. And it's because they've never discussed it. So he doesn't know the word for janazah. And his mom corrected him, saying, no, it's not Juma, it's Janazah. And I think it's important for our children to know these words and be familiar with them. And yeah, so I think Salatul Janazah is mentioned fully in the book. So that's the full term for the actual the prayer. And that's, again, why I included it in one of the follow-on activities so that older children can research it and find out a bit more. The only thing that Hamzah notices is that the janazah prayer is different. He notices that it's a standing up prayer, and that is enough for this age group, for young children, and then they can find out a bit more information. But I wanted the title to be self-explanatory, so there's no shock for the adults because they know exactly what they're looking at and what the story is going to be about, and then they can turn around and read the blurb. And I think some people still think it's going to be really shocking and gruesome. And another one of my close friends said she didn't know whether her child was going to be ready for it. But she goes, my son had come back and the Queen Elizabeth had died. And before, even if you weren't going to mention death to your children, it was everywhere. It was all over the news, and lots of primary schools were having to talk about death and the funeral. A lot of children wouldn't have known that word either, but that word was introduced into the vocabulary because it was on the news. Everyone, all the little children now knew that the Queen had died. So she said her son mentioned the Queen dying, and then she started to, that's when she thought, okay, he's okay to kind of deal with the story. So she read the story to him, and she went, because it was nothing gruesome, it was gentle, and it was good, and he was asking questions, and he was really interested in it.
Okay, Michelle, thank you for your answer. It's very nice. Okay. Jadi kenapa dipilih judul Hamzah Adzan Saat Jenazah? Kenapa Hamzah melayat jenazah ya? Karena memang penulisnya itu pengen menjelaskan langsung tentang isi bukunya. Isi bukunya ini tentang melayat, tentang menghadiri sholat jenazah pemakaman gitu, tentang orang yang sudah meninggal gitu. Dan memang anak itu harus dikenalkan gitu dengan istilah jenazah, karena ketika kita sholat jenazah pun ibadahnya berbeda gitu, cara sholatnya berbeda gitu. Nah, jadi ada cerita anak temannya usia 11 tahun, ada orang terdekat yang meninggal, tapi itu menyebut namanya gitu, jadi masih belum tahu tentang istilah jenazah gitu. Nah, dari itu baru ibunya bilang kalau ini namanya jenazah kayak gitu, karena sudah meninggal dan sebagainya gitu. Jadi angka baiknya percakapan tentang apa itu jenazah, apa itu meninggal, itu dimulai dari sejak awal gitu. Jadi anak itu tahu begitu datang ke pemakaman itu adabnya seperti apa gitu, apa aja yang harus dilakukan gitu. Dan kenapa juga judulnya Hamzah Melayat Jenazah, untuk lebih dapat gitu ekspresi kesedihannya di situ. Nah, ya, cukup jelas Mbak Dwi tadi ya?
Iya, terima kasih. Iya, sebenarnya suka banget karena kayak berima gitu kan ya, lebih ke jadi enak di apa sih kalau dilihat judulnya kan juga enak. Hamzah Melayat Jenazah gitu sih enak sih. Cuma itu saya cuma khawatir nanti gimana sih tentang itu. Iya sih, tapi kalau itu benar juga, benar. Sudah bisalah kebayang nanti bagaimana obrolannya dengan anak. Terima kasih ya Mbak Tifa.
Terima kasih banyak. Okay, Sister Zabana, thank you very much for your time, and yeah, you're very humble and very open about this book. You're sharing everything with us, mashallah. Now we want to take a picture with you. Maybe it's okay if you don't want to open your camera. It's okay. We just want to take a picture with your account on it.
That's fine. I don't mind one picture. I hope it's blurry enough because I won't be a second. Also, if anybody still has some questions and they want to ask, obviously I can only answer English, but you can always do Google Translate and things, but you can always message me on my Instagram as well. I do hang out there. And if you have a burning question that didn't get answered and you still need to know the answer to it, then you can always ask me there. I love to kind of answer your questions and chat to people, so I do that regularly anyway. So I will do a quick show exclusive here for everybody.
Thank you very much. Oke, jadi teman-teman yang masih mau bertanya, masih punya pertanyaan, silakan di translate di Google Translate pertanyaannya, terus kemudian di DM Sister Sabana untuk bisa, oh Masya Allah, halo. Jadi bisa DM via Instagram pertanyaannya apa, Sister Sabana akan dengan senang hati menjawab pertanyaan teman-teman. Okay, now we will take a group picture with you. Maybe Brother Fahri, can you lead everything? Videonya ada yang di disable sama host. Kenapa, Cina? Kenapa ya? Posisinya begini. Okay, Brother Fahri, can you give us some sign? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Wait. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Slide 1.
I might do one with my book as well.
Okay.
Slide 2. 1, 2, 3. Slide 3. 1, 2, 3. Slide 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, finish. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much, Sister Sabana. You may leave the meeting if you want, because we will continue with the event in Indonesian language. Okay.
That's fine. So I hope I'm saying this right. Terima kasih. So thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled that it's going to be translated. So I hope inshallah it is well there.
Very much. Oke, selanjutnya akan aku serahkan kembali kepada Ibu MC. Silakan.
Iya, terima kasih. Ya, alhamdulillah ya, sesi Q&A bersama penulis buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazahnya sudah selesai. Seru banget ya. Semoga bisa menjawab beberapa pertanyaan dari teman-teman gitu. Tadi sudah diinfokan ya, kalau mau bertanya silahkan langsung ke DM beliau, ke DM-nya, mampir aja ke Instagram-nya. Gitu. Dia suka hangout di sana tadi katanya gitu. Nah, setelah ini kita masuk sesi read aloud ya. Read aloud bukunya. Siapa yang mau? Aku mau. Lihat read aloud ya. Dengerin. Yuk, boleh langsung. Kakak
Aku
Fahri.
yang mau sharing
siapa?
screen boleh?
Oh, boleh. Sudah bisa kayaknya. Co-host. Yuk, yang mau tahu gimana isi bukunya?
Oke, bismillah. Sudah kelihatan screen-nya?
Sudah. Sudah sip.
Oke. Panel atasnya. Ya. Bismillah. Jadi aku akan coba membacakan beberapa halaman dari buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah. Jadi yang akan aku bacakan versi bahasa Indonesianya ya. Hari Sabtu adalah hari kesukaanku setiap pekan, karena aku bisa berkunjung ke tempat nenek dan sepupu yang kurindukan. Kami bersenang-senang bersama. Aku selalu ingin main lebih lama. Next. Namun ada satu Sabtu yang berubah. Innalillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Kata Bunda ditelepon dengan lirih. Maaf Hamzah, ada kabar duka dan kita akan pergi ke masjid untuk sholat jenazah bersama. Paman Samir, pemilik toko permen, telah meninggal dunia, kata Bunda. Kenapa kita harus ke sana? Kita tidak bisa ke rumah nenek saja, tanya Hamzah dengan kecewa. Menghadiri sholat jenazah sangat penting untuk seorang muslim, nak. Pahalanya ada banyak dan mengingatkan bahwa kita semua akan meninggalkan dunia ini kelak. Ayah menjelaskan. Aku masih tidak ingin pergi ke sana. Ingat ketika Paman Samir membantumu ketika lututmu terluka, kata Bunda. Aku ingat Paman Samir mengizinkanku duduk di etalase, menempel plester di lututku dan memberiku permen lollipop merah besar yang enak. Aku berpikir sejenak. Aku ingin membantu Paman Samir juga, Ayah, kataku. Beberapa jam berlalu, aku masuk mobil bersama ayah dan bundaku. Jadi, apa yang akan terjadi pada Paman Samir sekarang? Tanyaku. Pertama, tubuh Paman akan dimandikan dan dibungkus kain kafan. Selanjutnya, kita sholat jenazah bersamaan. Kemudian, tubuhnya akan dimasukkan ke dalam tanah untuk beristirahat, hingga Allah membangunkan setiap manusia di hari kiamat. Di masjid ada banyak bibi. Bergetar dan aku bisa mendengar suara tangisan pelan. Aku tidak menyukainya. Mereka berpelukan dan berpelukan dan berpelukan. Aku di sini untukmu, kata Bunda. Lebih banyak bibi yang datang. Mereka satu persatu memeluk bibi Salma yang malang. Aku dengar salah satu dari mereka berkata, semoga Allah memberimu kesabaran. Amin. Mereka menjawab bersamaan. Kemudian kami menunggu dan menunggu dan menunggu. Aku mendengar suara azan zuhur dan aku ingin sholat juga. Kami berdiri dalam saf dan aku mengikuti gerakan Bunda. Sujud adalah yang paling aku suka. Lalu terdengar suara dari pengeras suara. Waktu sholat jenazah telah tiba. Kami semua berdiri dalam satu barisan dan mulai sholat. Namun kali ini berbeda. Sholatnya sebentar saja. Kami tidak ruku dan tidak ada sujud yang kusuka. Sholatnya hanya berdiri saja. Aku ingin bersama ayah, bisiku pada Bunda. Nanti ya, jawabnya sambil memberiku tasbih untuk berdoa. Di luar ada mobil putih besar datang. Di sampingnya ada keranda panjang. Aku melihat ayah dan berlari kencang. Apa Paman Samir ada di dalam situ? Aku bertanya pada ayah sambil memegang erat tangannya. Ayah mengangguk dan meminta agar aku tidak khawatir. Ustadz Ibrahim mulai berbicara. Tanya, Paman Samir adalah orang yang dermawan dan baik hatinya. Dia senang memberi banyak sedekah pada sesama. Aku ingat ada kotak amal di kaset toko permennya. Aku suka memasukkan uang ke sana. Ustadz mengangkat kedua tangannya dan berdoa. Innalillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Kita adalah milik Allah dan hanya kepadanya kita kembali. Semoga Allah mengampuni dosa Pak Samir, menerangi kuburnya dengan cahaya amal kebaikannya dan memasukkannya ke dalam jannah firdaus. Amin. Semua orang menjawab bersamaan. Apa kita tidak bisa bertemu Paman Samir lagi selamanya? Tanyaku pada ayah. Tidak di sini, Nak, jawab ayah. Tapi kita akan bertemu dengannya di jannah, insya Allah. Seorang pria mengucapkan bismillah dan memasukkan keranda Paman Samir ke dalam mobil ambulan. Aku pergi bersama ayah ke pemakaman. Lanjutnya nih. Lanjut sampai selesai? Oke, boleh deh kita lanjut aja ya. Lagi yang serunya. Assalamualaikum, kata ayah ketika kami memasuki area makan. Kami menginjak dedaunan kering hingga melihat di tanah ada lubang besar dan dalam. Pasti butuh waktu lama untuk menggalinya. Para pria meletakkan Paman Samir ke dalam liang lahat dan aku mendengar mereka berkata bismillah lagi. Kemudian kami memberat Al-Fatihah dan berdoa untuk Paman Samir. Apakah Paman Samir akan merasa kesepian di dalam tanah? Tanyaku. Tidak. Lalu mengumpulkan Paman ketika dimakamkan. Aku memikirkan tentang toko permen Paman Samir, permen lollipop merah dan toples sedekahnya. Aku juga ingin berdoa untuknya. Ya Allah, buat Paman Samir bahagia di dalam kuburnya, karena ia membuatku bahagia. Tolong aku untuk melakukan banyak dan banyak kebaikan, sehingga aku dapat masuk jannah yang kurindukan. Amin. Kita masih punya banyak waktu, kata ayah. Mau pergi ke rumah nenek? Nah, jadi terakhirnya menyenangkan juga untuk Hamzahnya. Oke, selesai. Sesi retrodnya. Akhirnya kita bacakan semuanya.
Ah,
Gimana yang
alhamdulillah. Gimana? Kesannya seru banget ya. Aduh, nggak sabar nih pengen punya gitu. Padahal sih pegang sih tadi. Udah pegang bukunya. Nggak sabar gitu loh. Bisa masuk, bisa parkir di rak buku gitu kan. Jadi bisa dibaca kapanpun. Oke deh. Q&A tadi udah ya. Read a lot juga udah. Apalagi yang belum? Quiz time ya. Sip, 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 sip. Kalau quiz kayaknya pada semangat nih.
e-wallet?
Kalau quiz, yuk kita main tebak-tebakan ya. Nah, akan ada hadiah saldo untuk 5 orang. Dengarkan baik-baik pertanyaan dari MC, lalu ketik jawabannya dengan cepat dan tepat. Sekali enter. Oke? Oke deh. Pertanyaan pertama. Jeng, jeng, jeng. Siap-siap ya. Oke, siapa nama lengkap penulis buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah? Langsung, Brudul. Kakak Tifa boleh bantu ya.
Oke. Yang paling cepat dan paling tepat
Iya,
adalah
nggak boleh tipe ya. Satu
Eh,
kali enter.
yang Sabana Hussein, S-nya 2.
Iya. Hussein.
Eliza.
Selamat Mbak Eza. Yeay, bentar aku catat dulu.
Ini nanti silakan kontak Mbak Admin Mbak Lintang buat mau saldo apakah dikirimnya?
Ya,
Shopee Pay.
Shopee Pay. Bentar lagi diskon akhir bulan. Yang kedua, sebutkan 3 perbedaan ilustrasi buku terjemahan dengan buku asli.
Perbedaan ilustrasinya ada 2.
Oh, 2. Oh ya, ada 2. Oke. Apa aja?
Kalau ilustrasi
Berwarna dan tidak berwarna.
yang paling cepat dan tepat adalah Mbak Roshi. Jadi untuk ilustrasi itu yang berbeda ada di keranda dan peti mati, terus dan di mobil ambulannya. Mobil ambulannya kalau di kita kan putih ya, putih,
Iya, putih
ada
merah.
merah-merahnya gitu. Di luar negeri itu mobil jenazah itu warna hitam. Jadi itu perbedaannya. Kalau misalnya satu lagi yang bedanya sama buku versi aslinya itu di versi Indonesianya ada dua cover pilihan, ada soft cover dan hard cover. Gitu. Tapi untuk ilustrasi itu ada 2. Keranda dan ambulan. Selamat Mbak Roshi.
Selamat. Oke, pertanyaan ketiga. Bagian apa dari sholat yang sangat disukai oleh Hamzah?
Wah, ini nih ya. Cepet banget. Scroll dulu di mana nih ya. Mbak Sabrina. Sujud. Betul. Itu
Iya,
adalah bagian sholat yang disukai oleh Hamzah.
Oke, Mbak Sabrina, selamat.
Mbak Lintang.
Oke, yang keempat ya. Pertanyaan keempat. Siapa yang meninggal di dalam buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah?
Wah.
Hmm,
Kita pakai panggilannya Hamzah ya di sini ya. Yang
ya,
betul adalah Mbak Lulu, Paman Samir. Ini kita pakai pamannya di sini biar lengkap. Mbak Lulu selamat.
ya. Lalu
Jadi
selamat.
uncle atau tetangga yang meninggal di buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah ini namanya Paman Samir, betul.
Oke deh. Oke, nah ini nih ya pertanyaan terakhir. Mungkin udah ada yang tahu, mungkin belum. Berapa harga buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah? Dua
Ya,
versi ya.
ada dua harga. Yang soft cover berapa, hard cover berapa.
Kali
Soft cover
enter.
berapa sekali enter ya. Kita lihat siapa yang paling cepat dan tepat. Ya, dalam satu kali enter ya. Ada ada Mbak Dwi 55 dan 85. Oke. Betul, 55.000 dan 85.000. 55.000 untuk yang soft cover dan 85.000 yang hard cover. Kalau untuk kertasnya juga kita pakai yang cukup tebal dan di jilidnya jahit juga, insya Allah awet. Yeay!
Yeay, tuh ya sudah ada ininya.
Selamat untuk para pemenang.
Selamat untuk seluruh pemenang. Buat klaimnya bisa chat admin di grup ya, di grup WhatsApp. Itu buat Mbak Eza mungkin sama bisa langsung bisa ke aku atau ke Tehlis ya. Selamat kepada yang sudah menang. Yang belum, oke, kita masih ada kesempatan ya, karena kita masih ada 2 challenge lagi. Gitu. Nih, aku spill ya. Challenge yang pertama adalah challenge review kelas Hamzah. Gitu. Dapatkan 3 buku untuk 3 reviewer terbaik. Syaratnya ikuti 2 kelas Yaumi Kids, yaitu tanggal 23 Juni bersama Syabana sore ini ya, dan besok 24 Juni bersama Teh Karin. Gitu. Jadi harus ikut dua-duanya ya, nggak boleh salah satunya. Terus yang kedua, buat Instagram post di feed atau reels berupa resume kelas, inspirasi maupun keseruan dari kedua kelas tersebut. Bisa buat sebanyak-banyaknya. Terus yang ketiga, jangan lupa tag Yaumi Kids dan gunakan hashtag review kelas Hamzah. Berlaku sampai dengan 14 Juli 2023 ya. Terus challenge yang kedua adalah, nah ini ya, bisa ikutin giveaway-nya di Instagram, berhadiah 2 buku Hamzah Jenazah untuk 2 komentar terbaik gitu. Jadi komentar yang paling baik nanti akan kita pilih ya. Tuh. Jadi oke deh. Nah, ternyata ya menjelaskan kematian kepada seorang anak bisa dengan cara yang sederhana dan nggak seserem itu gitu. Justru kalau kita nggak jelaskan dengan baik, anak akan mengalami kebingungan dan kebingungan pemahamannya itu bisa berlangsung dalam jangka waktu yang lama gitu. Nah, dan yang bahkan bisa menimbulkan trauma gitu. Alih-alih mempersiapkan bekal amal soleh, mereka malah jadi takut gitu. Semoga dengan hadirnya buku Hamzah Melayat Jenazah bisa membantu ayah bunda menjelaskan tentang kematian kepada anak gitu. Alhamdulillah ya, seluruh rangkaian acara sore hari ini telah selesai. Terima kasih sudah hadir. Kurang lebihnya kami mohon maaf. Jangan lupa besok kita ketemu lagi ya di jam setelah Ba'da Asar ya, bersama Teh Karin dengan topik Bunda meninggal itu apa? Gitu. Jangan lupa siapin bekal ya, air minum. dan cemilan-cemilan boleh, dan pertanyaannya gitu. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sampai jumpa besok.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Indah mengalir berzikir di hidung doaku, sakit yang ku rasa biar jadi penawar dosaku. Butir-butir cinta, air mataku, teringat semua yang kau beri untukku. Ampuni hilaf dan salah selama ini, ya ilahi. Muhasabah cintaku. Tuhan